night, and then the next man comes from 10 o'clock till 6
And
in
you
the
stop
morning.
production, you said, in July, August.
July and August, we'll stop. And that actually was way back to tradition when the farmers who were making the whiskey in the beginning, they would have been busy on the farm at that time, and the whiskey was something they made in the winter. It almost started off as a hobby originally. It was just something to keep them ticking over in the winter time. I think it's the same, any farm, anywhere in the world, and they were making alcohol. Wooden washbacks would be more traditional, but when the family were expanding, they put in steel washbacks, and they believe there's no difference in the final flavour whether fermentation takes place in wood or steel. Now, human nature being human nature, people will always argue that one material is producing something better than another, but I think the family have been making whiskey here long enough to make these decisions, and these are going to outlast any wooden washbacks.
Originally was wood.
Wood, yeah. They had 4 wooden washbacks, and then it expanded to 12 steel. It's a huge expansion going on. But at that time, everything was quite cheap because no one was working flat out. So you were quite cheap for materials. Builders were cheap. Barley was cheap, or cheaper. So it was quite a good time to expand. So 16.5 tons of grist fill 2 washbacks. So that first water will pass down through the filter, down through a heat exchanger, cooled, pump it over, split it between 2 washbacks, and then exactly the same will be repeated in the second. So you should be having equal sugar content in each one. So it's here that the yeast is added. We're adding the yeast along with the first water, so the second water comes in and it really starts working. So the sugars are going to convert to alcohol, carbon dioxide gas is released. It all starts frothing, bubbling. It'll begin to rise. If it bubbles up and hits the tip of this metal probe coming down here, that activates the switcher blade, and that then skims the top of the probe. The wooden lid is closed during fermentation, allowing the carbon dioxide gas to escape out into the ashes. Fermentation here at Glenfarclas takes a minimum of 2 days, and we're left with a brown, quite a thick liquid which we call wash. Alcohol content, averaging about 8% alcohol. So it's like a strong but flat beer. Exactly that, yeah. So I'm going to open some of the lids. Please do not stick your head into the washback. The carbon dioxide gas gives you quite a punch. It's not a very pleasant experience. If you just give it a few seconds, if there's anything to smell, the smell will come to you. So don't go in, yeah? Now this one will be bubbling away quite nicely. Yeah. So there's probably not going to be much smell here. This is the first and second water from the previous mash. So this is just starting to work away. So yeah, there's nothing stirring this, it's just fermentation taking place naturally. You can just see the sort of slow movement.
Naturally, no yeast.
The yeast has been added here.
It's been added.
So we add a liquid yeast, it's called Lalamon, the yeast that we add, and it just does what it does naturally. It well, basically eats the sugar and keeps out alcohol, yeah. And then it dies. It's such a sad tale. And what will happen, it generates energy as well, so the temperature rises. There's actually no heating in this building. All the heating here is coming from these cans. Yeah. It's quite mesmerising when you see it like that. So this will come up fairly quickly now in the next few hours.
It comes up.
Yeah, I'll see if I find one, but it's sitting up and we can have a look.
So when you put the liquid here, you keep it for around 2 days, you said?
2 days minimum, but that's fermentation complete. It sometimes stays here for longer, depending. We don't always work Saturday and Sunday here, so sometimes we fill these on a Friday, and they might still be sitting here, maybe Monday, Tuesday the next week.
Saturday, Sunday is gone.
No. The men are sometimes here, but sometimes not here. It just depends on production level.
Oh, okay.
So, but at the moment they're working Saturday and Sundays. They're 6.5 days just now.
Yeah.
No work on Sunday morning. They always get Sunday morning off. And I think traditionally that would have been time for family time and church.
Yeah.
I think today maybe golf courses or, you know. But
And
it just
some
gives them
whiskey as well.
perhaps whiskey on the Saturday night.
And Sunday morning as well.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
never.
No?
Never. Alcohol in the morning, unless it's Christmas, you know, if it's 6 o'clock in the morning and like, yeah, let's just have a
Let's have
drink,
a
you
whiskey.
know. Okay, so this one's been up. You can see the level that's been up to. Now this should smell a little bit like beer. Like a fruity kind of beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll feel the difference in the temperature if you stick your hand in there.
Yeah.
So it's been up and that's it now settling back down again.
You don't move it, right? From
No,
this, yeah.
no, it just stays here. Once
Stays
it's ready,
there,
it just
yeah.
stays here. So
This is just heat just from the fermentation.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what he'll do is he'll take specific gravity at the beginning and then specific gravity at the end of fermentation.
Alright. I think the one you showed before is after how long?
This is just after a few hours.
After a few hours.
That's just gone in there this morning, so he's just about to start another mash there. And that's an older one. That's this could have been here since like Wednesday night or something like that. Yeah. This is an older one.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
going down.
So that's actually the level it is filled to. But it's just that's how much reaction you get from the carbon dioxide. So this, again, it's almost quite fruity. I
Yeah,
think
much more fruity.
apples, pears, apples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cider, it was the first thing that
like a young cider almost, or a young wine or like a cider. It's quite fruity. So what they think is although the yeast that we put in is probably dead after the 2 days, there'll be natural yeast, you know, in the air that will actually affect, and you might get like a secondary fermentation just from the natural yeast that's in the air. And that's just something that we can't do anything about that, but it actually becomes like a really, really strong fruity flavour if it's been here for longer than the 2 days. Almost like a cider or like a young wine. It's just interesting, and everybody kind of gets something different from this area as well. And it's amazing when you're tasting your whiskey at the end, having been around the distillery, you can sometimes pick out the flavours from the distillery in your whiskey. Whether it's just imagination, because the power of persuasion is absolutely amazing. You know, if someone tells you you should be smelling something, don't look for it, you know. So 8% alcohol is as high as we can get it. To get the alcohol level higher, distillation is required. So we do that down.
Is it drinkable after the fermentation?
I mean, you could taste it, but it's